Welcome to iFacts. Today we're diving into a brand new explainer, and we are deconstructing how David Beckham totally rewrote the rules of sports wealth to build a mind-blowing $1.58 billion net worth. You know, most star athletes, they burn through their earnings or they rely on basic endorsement deals after they retire. But David Beckham? He didn't just play the game, guys. He literally bought the board. Today, we're going to look at the exact financial architecture he used to go from a highly paid employee to a massive global business institution.
So here's the big question. How exactly did a $145 million soccer salary transform into an empire that's wealthier than King Charles III and most U.S. sports team owners? Over his entire playing career, Manchester United, Real Madrid, LA Galaxy, Beckham earned around $145 million in pure salary. Now, by today's standards for an elite athlete, yeah, that's solid money for a couple of seasons, but it is definitely not billionaire money. The math just doesn't add up if you only look at his wages. So we're going to uncover exactly how he bridged that massive gap.
You see, when most athletes negotiate a contract, they're looking for the highest possible payday for their labor on the field. Fair enough, right? Beckham, however, used his foundational years at Manchester United and Real Madrid to build an unparalleled global distribution network for his name. He brought in that respectable $145 million in total salary across his career, but honestly, the real value was the platform it built. At Man U, he secured 6 Premier League titles and the legendary 1999 treble. He wasn't just a player anymore, he was becoming this massive cultural fixture. By the time he moved to Real Madrid in 2003, entering his peak earning years, he'd already positioned himself as an icon whose reach went way, way beyond the traditional soccer fan base.
Now, a massive catalyst in all of this was what we call the Victoria Effect. In 1999, David married Victoria Adams, who the world knew as Posh Spice from the Spice Girls. This union just absolutely amplified his cultural reach and multiplied his endorsement value exponentially. Suddenly, he wasn't just famous to soccer fans, right? He was famous to fashion editors, teenage girls, international consumers who had literally never watched a single soccer match in their lives. This wild cross-demographic fame meant brands were suddenly willing to pay a massive 3 to 5 times premium for his endorsements compared to other top-tier footballers.
And this crossover appeal was incredibly potent. Just to put it into perspective, Real Madrid generated over $600 million in merchandise sales, carrying his name in just 4 years. Just think about that for a second. The club recouped their entire investment in him super rapidly just through the sheer commercial gravity of brand Beckham. He was basically a walking billboard, and the whole world was buying whatever he was wearing.
So when his time at Real Madrid was wrapping up, critics completely dismissed him, claiming he was just heading to Hollywood for a semi-retirement. I mean, he took a staggering 70% base pay cut to join the LA Galaxy. On paper, that looks like total financial self-sabotage, doesn't it? But what critics thought was a graceful, sun-drenched semi-retirement was actually the most brilliant business maneuver in modern sports history. His manager, Simon Fuller, negotiated a deal that fundamentally changed the economics of Beckham's career. First up, Beckham got a cut of all team revenue. And we aren't just talking about jersey sales here. He actually negotiated a percentage of every ticket, every sponsorship, literally even the hot dogs and beer sold at Galaxy games. That revenue share turned his base salary into an estimated $50 million annual package.
But you know what? The headline of that contract was just a distraction. The absolute crucial point here is a golden clause allowing him to purchase a future Major League Soccer franchise for a fixed price of just $25 million. This little detail was buried deep in the fine print at a time when the MLS was really struggling, and the long-term commercial upside of American soccer was far from obvious to anyone else. And this perfectly illustrates his incredible foresight, because by the time 2023 rolled around, new MLS expansion franchises were commanding entry fees of $500 million. Beckham had locked in his price at a fraction of that cost. In fact, the MLS actually offered to buy that option back from him for $50 million before his team even existed. They wanted to double his money right then and there, just to get that clause back. But Beckham? He held on to an asset that he knew would soon be worth 20 times his purchase price.
Okay, here's an absolutely critical lesson for anyone watching who wants to build lasting wealth. You have to own the asset, not just the income. You see, most athletes get paid by brands and then they retire. Beckham, however, consolidated his commercial rights into a company called DB Ventures. Then, in an absolute masterstroke in 2022, he sold a 55% stake of that company to Authentic Brands Group for a reported $269 million. Now, Authentic Brands Group is the exact same powerhouse behind the licensing empires of Elvis Presley and Muhammad Ali. By doing this, Beckham essentially converted a personal brand into an institutional asset managed by heavy-hitting professional operators.
And by retaining a 45% stake in this newly institutionalized company, Beckham pulled in a massive $36 million in dividends in 2023 alone. Think about that. He got a huge cash payout from the initial sale, he secured ABG's global brand-building infrastructure totally for free, and he still collects massive passive income as the company grows. He took linear endorsement income and turned it into compounding corporate equity.
Just look at this portfolio of lifetime deals and media ventures. It acts as a perpetual royalty stream now. Beyond his $160 million lifetime deal with Adidas and partnerships with Tudor and Hugo Boss, he also launched Studio 99. That's the production company that created the massive Netflix documentary series Beckham. And get this, not only did the documentary reportedly earn him $36 million, but it acted as this global, multi-hour commercial for his brand at exactly the perfect time.
So that Netflix documentary dropped right as Beckham was executing the crowning achievement of his business career. After exercising his option back in 2014 and navigating literally years of complex development alongside his partners Jorge and Jose Mas, the Inter Miami franchise was officially born. But Beckham wasn't done there. In 2023, he and his partners engineered the sports deal of the century by signing Lionel Messi. Beckham basically did for Messi what the MLS had once done for him. He offered Messi an unprecedented deal that included revenue sharing with Apple and Adidas, plus a future ownership stake in the club.
And guys, the Messi effect was seismic. The massive valuation spike pre- and post-Messi is unbelievable. It surged Inter Miami's valuation from $585 million to a staggering, league-leading $1.45 billion. Almost overnight, the team became the top-selling merchandise mover on Fanatics, and their revenue just shot up to the highest in the entire league. Messi's arrival wasn't just a win on the field, it was a financial catalyst that completely changed the economics of the entire league.
What you really should take away from this is the sheer, unbelievable power of leverage. That single $25 million option has now generated nearly a tenfold return on Beckham's personal equity stake in the club, which is estimated to be well over $200 million today. He saw the long-term vision of American soccer when almost no one else did, and he held the line until the market caught up to his ambition.
Beckham's wealth isn't just tied up in soccer anymore. It's a wildly diversified empire built on appreciating assets and high-margin businesses. Today, his holdings extend far beyond the pitch. The Inter Miami deal actually came with a massive real estate play, Miami Freedom Park, which is a billion-dollar stadium and mixed-use development valued at over £370 million. He also recently dropped $72 million on a spectacular waterfront mansion in Miami Beach. Plus, he owns a 10% stake in the English club Salford City. And we absolutely cannot ignore Victoria Beckham Beauty, the brand co-founded by his wife, which is valued at an astonishing $700 million. This is a family empire through and through. His ultimate transition from a star athlete to a global institution was well and truly cemented in 2025, when he was knighted by King Charles III. He literally went from a working-class kid in London with a talent for bending free kicks all the way to Sir David Beckham, a knight of the realm and the UK's very first billionaire sports. So, he didn't just play the game, he bought the board. So what hidden options are you leaving on the table in your own career? Something to think about. Thank you from the iFacts team.